Is in KZN at Umlazi to find out how these by-elections are proceeding at this point. Simphiwe, good morning. So what's the turnout like, and is there any particular excitement in the air in Umlazi this morning?
Good morning to you, Sakina, as well as our viewers at home. There are currently 12 vacant wards in KwaZulu-Natal, which will be up for grabs as voters will be expected to make their ways into various voting stations to exercise their democratic right, of course. We are here in Umlazi, which is C-section. Here it's Ward 81. The ward became vacant after the councillor passed away. Let me not waste time, Sakina. Let me welcome the chairperson of the IEC, Mr. Mashinini, who's going to take us through what he has been observing since the start of the special votes. Mr. Mashinini, thank you very much for your time. Just a brief overview of the observations of the IEC with regards to the special votes.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. The IEC is pleased in what we're seeing in this voting station, that we are conducting these by-elections after there had been a suspension since March. So as the Commission, we were very anxious and concerned that the backlog of local government elections must be dealt with. And after the President's announcement of level 1, which also enabled that we can then resume electoral activities, we were then in a position that we are now running these elections. Now, these particular elections, as we are conducting them, they are conducted under the COVID pandemic conditions. So the most critical thing for us is that we wanted to have this as a dry run in preparations for next year's local government elections. So it gives us a good opportunity to be in a position to see exactly how to actually run the elections under COVID. And so in the inspections that one is doing and visiting the different voting stations throughout the province, it's just to make that assessment. And it is quite pleasing to see the preparations, the equipment, the gear that meets the standards that we have set for ourselves. We had to benchmark with other international best practices under COVID, and so far we are very proud of what is underway. But further to that, the training had to be adapted. We moved to the online training, and this is another innovation that we are pursuing to ensure that the people are trained, but we adhere to the highest standards of protection of life and safety of both our personnel as well as the voters. And the feedback that I've received from the personnel in this voting station, as well as those who came to vote, they are all saying thumbs up to the Electoral Commission. And we can only now say this provides us a good prototype for future plans. Of course, we'll still be learning, and we'll see, and we'll have reviews as to what other things and measures we need to put in place. But so far, we're very happy and we're very pleased. We can only now ask people to come out in their large numbers to register their vote, because democracy must continue, whether COVID or no COVID.
I was just about to ask Mr. Mashinini that it's been raining here in Durban for the past 3 days, which is a factor to be considered when it comes to the voter turnout. What is your expectation in terms of that regard?
Look, I mean, we have to remain optimistic even under difficult and challenging weather conditions. You know, God willing, we hope that we'll be able to have a successful election. We continue to urge people to come out in their large numbers, whether it's raining or not, that they need to come and register their voice through the ballot, so that a new councillor that comes in has the legitimacy that is necessary for them to represent their communities.
From where you're sitting, Mr. Mashinini, can you categorically state that all your employees, those who are conducting these elections, have been provided with proper protective equipment?
As you can see for yourself, it's one of the things that one was particularly focusing on, to say we cannot sit in the ivory towers as leaders of the institution and not have our boots on the ground to see and be able to make the assessment ourselves and be in a position to interact with the foot soldiers of the Electoral Commission, people who are making their sacrifices and making sure that our democracy endures. So we are very proud of the foot soldiers of the Electoral Commission. If you can look just around and look behind me, you can see all of them are proudly here to serve the country and to serve the institution.
Mr. Mashinini, I know you have another engagement. Let me thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much, and thank you to the listeners. And please, everybody, sicela nonke niphume nize nizokwenza lokho kufanele kwenziwe ngokhetho. Siyathokoza kakhulu ukubona ukuthi namalungiselelo ahamba kahle, kuphephile, futhi nabantu nje siyabona baloku bayatheleka nje. Sibonge kakhulu ke.
Mr. Mashinini, thank you very much. That's the chairperson of the IEC, Mr. Glenn Mashinini, urging those who will be expected to come to various voting stations to indeed do so and exercise their democratic rights. With that, it's back to you in Johannesburg.
Oh, thank you so much, Simphiwe Makhanya, who's out in Umlazi outside Durban in KwaZulu-Natal. And as you heard, still calm there. But of course, Glenn Mashinini of the IEC urging voters to actually come through to make their mark and to have their voices heard. And throughout the morning, throughout the day, in fact, the SABC will be bringing you regular updates on how Super Wednesday is progressing. Let's take a break.